Hello there, thank you for staying with us and welcome to Face Off. I am Nel Taigbe. Now, this matter has... I'm still thinking of how to do this. There's been this concern since Saturday when the elections took place in Kogi. Yes, it was a tough one. The Independent National Electoral Commission on Sunday declared that election as inconclusive because of some irregularities, as they say. Same day, one of the aspirants, the candidate for the APC, Prince Abubakar Audu, passed on. Now, since that incident, there's been multiple reactions, varied reactions from different quarters. Some focused on the Constitution. Some, the conspiracy theories are also coming up as well. But then yesterday as well, the Attorney General of the Federation spoke concerning this, quoting Section 33 of the Electoral Act. I believe that's what he quoted. Then there were the other lawyers who came on different platforms talking about different... Indeed, the conversations around the country have been heated, varied, different opinions. But at the end of the day, the question is Kogi State moving forward? What is the way forward? INEC has said there's going to be a supplementary election on the 5th of December. What are the pros and the cons? Who's going to bear the cost? At the end of it all, what will happen to the results that we got from the other election? The PDP also reacted, talking about the fact that APC is now having an opportunity to run two candidates in the same election. That is not acceptable. Oh boy. So where are we going from here? The supplementary election is going to happen. What are the pros and the cons? That's what we're asking today. And I have two lawyers in the studio. So it promises to be an exciting one. Today we'll be hearing a lot of the Constitution and the Electoral Act. The two of them are here. Alan Agbaka, thank you for coming.
It's my pleasure to be here once again.
And George Okusanya, thank you for coming.
My pleasure.
All right, gentlemen, the pros and the cons. Where are we at? Your stand.
The INEC, the Attorney General of the Federation, gave a very parochial interpretation to Section 33 without having recourse to Section 32 and 36 of the Electoral Act. What is envisaged there is that before the election,
not
election that is inconclusive.
Okay.
Well, the statement issued by the Electoral Commission, in my view, is rather unfortunate. Because this so-called crisis is completely the making of the human beings who are involved in the system. My view is that the laws as they stand, the Constitution and the Electoral Act, provide for every scenario.
So the Attorney General is correct?
No, he is not. The Attorney General and the Commission are saying more or less the same thing.
Okay. We'll take a moment and we'll come back to continue this conversation. This sounds like they're going to be on the same page. I don't know, but they will tell us. I will come back. Remember, you can be a part of the conversations. Join us via Twitter at FaceOff Today or at Nel Taigbe, and send a mail if it's more than 140 characters, faceoff@channelstv.com. Okay, I'm going to need your help here. I'm almost thrown off balance by the legal jargon they're throwing back behind the cameras here. They're almost throwing me off balance. I hope they won't throw us all off balance. The parochial, they're right, they're not right. They're good in going ahead with the supplementary, but not with the different candidate. They shouldn't even go ahead with the supplementary at all. It has to be in line with the Constitution. This one says, okay, but hold on, they're here. It's okay. Since we're back here, gentlemen, I don't know who's going to ask the first question. Maybe you should ask the first question.
Yeah, my position is that under Section 36 of the Electoral Act, what it contemplates is changing or alternating a candidate nominated before the commencement of the poll, not midway, after the poll is inconclusive. What is playing out in Kogi State is not within the contemplation of the Constitution. The draftsman never envisaged it. And it is not such that you can invoke the doctrine of necessity. No. The reason being that you will be giving an absurd meaning to the clear provisions of the Constitution. Let's have reference to Section 181. 181 of the Constitution too equally contemplates after the election has been concluded, but before the oath of office
all that you have said
taken.
Now is
so consequently,
if I might borrow your legal term, ultra vires of the statement I made, I say ask your question. You've just made a statement. Well, okay, let's hear your reaction to that.
I disagree with him. I disagree with him, and I find that I disagree with quite a number of legal practitioners on this point. I don't see any lacuna.
Are you serious?
I don't see any lacuna.
Okay, maybe we should go to that portion. Is it the Electoral Act 38? Go ahead.
Yeah. The Electoral Act has a specific provision in Section 36 covering death of a candidate. The section relied upon by the Attorney General of the Federation is actually a section that was inserted into the law to guard against parties flagrantly substituting candidates. If you read that section, it says you cannot substitute your candidate unless he himself withdraws or there's a death. But that's a general provision that deals with under what circumstances you can change your candidate. But there's a specific provision that talks about when your candidate dies.
Okay, hold on. 36(1). If after the time for the delivery of nomination paper and before the commencement of the polls,
Yes.
a nominated candidate dies, the Chief National Electoral Commissioner or the Resident Electoral Commissioner shall, being satisfied of the fact, countermand the poll in which the deceased was to participate, and the Commission shall appoint some other convenient date for the election within 14 days.
The operative words there, please, let me take off from there, is commencement of the poll. Commencement of the poll. It presupposes that they have not commenced.
So
And-
what has not been envisaged by the draftsman? You have to tell the listeners or the viewers what has not been
What
envisaged.
has not been envisaged
Yes.
is a situation where a poll has commenced and midway, one of the aspirants dies. It is not within the contemplation of Section 30.
Why should the
If
law
you really
contemplate that?
Because the draftsman should contemplate any happening. And that's why even where we have a constitutional crisis, like we are having now,
We don't have a crisis.
we take it to court, and the court will now give a proper interpretation
Of what?
as to whether or not
Whether or not what?
But he said
the
we don't have a
sin
crisis.
There's no
that is-
crisis.
The sin that is playing out in Kogi State is within the contemplation of Section 36. But I'm submit that if you look at the operative words there, he said commencement of the pool, and he went further again to talk about candidate was to participate, not the candidate that has commenced participation. They are two
Nyata,
different things.
The Attorney General spoke yesterday and he said, I had him on this platform.
Yes.
He talked about community reading. Unfortunately, for the statement that came from his lips, he did a community reading of sections of the law. Community reading ought to mean that you take all the provisions together and then you get your way forward. My view, which I will maintain, is that the Constitution and the Act have covered the field. I don't see how you want to legislate for what happened in Kogi State. Where is the lacuna? Now, let me make my point. Section 1784 says, for this particular election in
the
Kogi,
Constitution or
of the
the
Constitution.
election?
Let's start with the Constitution. That's the superior law.
Yeah, go ahead.
The Electoral Act must derogate to the Constitution. It says Kogi is one constituency. In 1792, which is the subsection that deals with where there is more than one candidate, it says once you have an election, whoever scores the highest number of votes at that election shall be deemed to have been elected. Okay? Good. What is operative there is shall be deemed to have been elected. If you go back to the Act, in section 69, where it talks about how you ascertain a winner, it says the procedure for ascertaining a winner is when the poll is ended, you count the votes. Whoever has the highest number of votes shall be declared the winner of the elections. So you have the Act telling you how you get a winner.
No, hold on, let him
The
finish.
Constitution tells you who shall be deemed elected. There is a reason why the Constitution says you will not accept a nomination until that candidate brings an associate who will run with him. Once, because the only where I agree with him there is that commencement. Once the election has commenced, the life or death of Audu becomes irrelevant. He
So
has
he's
done
correct.
all that.
But you disagree with him?
He's 5% correct. The other 95 is wrong. Whether Audu is alive at the time he's being declared a winner is completely irrelevant. He has done, if he was alive today, what will he be doing before December 5? He has nothing to do.
He's not alive. You don't bring hypothetical issues.
There's no
to a
hypothetical
clear
issue.
provision of the law. The law is very clear.
What does the law say?
The draftsman have looked at two operative words.
Yes.
Commencement of the polls and the polls that the candidate is to partake.
What happens
If you
after
look-
commencement?
Wait, pause. When we are talking, I listened to you. Learn to listen. Now, you will see that the whole provision was in futuro. Is to take cognizance of the fact that the person who is to go into the election must be a living person, a personality known to law, not a dead person. You see, the problem, the legal drawback we have now is that if you say that you are doing supplementary election, in as much as we agree that it's a political party that has the power to sponsor a candidate, that is by virtue of section 221 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria 1999, that it's only a political party that can canvass for vote. That does not mean that a political party can canvass for vote in respect of a dead person. The person envisaged under the law must be a living person. Now, what happens to the vote? Who and who did they vote for? The question will be, fine, the electors have voted for APC. But there is APC cannot exist without a candidate. You cannot vote for a political party, even though, and the political party cannot sponsor a dead person. So there lies the lacuna.
You are the only one seeing that lacuna.
The
Did
problem
they sponsor
there-
a dead person?
The problem there is that as at the
Did
time,
they sponsor
as at
a dead person?
From now on, you cannot count the vote of a dead person to a living person.
Okay.
As
so-
at the time
And
that
then
the
the
votes...
problem again.
Hold
Wait,
on,
let me
hold on.
It's-
becoming a monologue.
Oh, hold on. I'm trying to ensure that we do not
Ask
have
him
too
if
much.
APC sponsored
Hold
a dead
on,
person.
hold on. There is a precedent that was set with the River State matter, where the Supreme Court said,
Amechi and INEC, good.
thank you, where the Supreme Court says the party is the one contesting, not the individual. True or false? I mean, you're the lawyers here.
Sponsoring of candidates.
Neota.
Hold on.
Neota.
Did the Supreme Court say it's a party that is contesting?
You cannot take one statement out of the Supreme Court decision.
Okay.
Without you.
So
that
at the end of the
document
day-
you must read in community too.
At the end of Umojiti's community.
Yes.
So at the end of the day,
The operative word.
First, let me
which
address
the
the section
Supreme Court
221. Let me
talked
address section
about
221.
is sponsoring a candidate.
Let me address section 221.
okay. So respond to.
Unfortunately, section 221 does not say what the Attorney General of the Federation wants to put across to Nigerians. Section 221 is a prohibition on those who are not political parties canvassing. In which case you have people like these transformation ambassadors who were canvassing the other time. That is what 221 is about. It is saying it is only a political party that can canvass votes for a candidate. It didn't say canvass votes for itself. It said canvass votes for a candidate at a particular election. That is all 221 is saying. It's completely irrelevant to Kogi State. Now, the question that happened in Amechi and INEC, and I'm glad I'm here, I want to say that most of those that have tried to analyze that particular decision, maybe they didn't read what Justice Oguntade was saying. The Supreme Court was caught with their backs to the wall. About 2 or 3 weeks earlier, they had given a decision in favor of Ararume, which PDP upturned. They had asked that Ararume be the candidate of PDP in the Imo elections. And obviously, those who were running PDP at that time didn't want Ararume. So somebody in the party even said on air that Ararume was the Supreme Court's candidate. And that was the only election in that year, 2007, where the PDP did not have a candidate. So, definitely, given that scenario, Supreme Court was not going to order a fresh election in Rivers State because the PDP had already expelled Amechi at that time. One needs to read that decision. The only thing that the Supreme Court could do, because they felt as if, look, openly they accused the political parties of being in contempt. Even INEC was upbraided in that decision. That was why the Supreme Court took that very, very extreme step of saying that the man who didn't stand for the elections should be sworn in. Because there was no other way they could give Amechi victory. And it was clear that Amechi was the one that won the primaries. That is why the act was amended. To say if you don't go through the primaries, you cannot be the candidate.
Okay.
That was a specific provision in that area.
So what he
But to
was
address
saying
what he's
about
saying now,
counting the votes of a dead man for the party.
the critical point, sir, is that as at the time that Audu was sponsored, he wasn't a dead person. The votes had been counted. INEC had declared that this election is inconclusive by reason of the fact that the outstanding votes can alter first and second. The death of Audu had not even been announced. Nobody knows whether he had died or not died. That's what I'm saying. His death is irrelevant. People have voted for Audu. If you read section 179,